What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. I am the Hobbyist, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the differences physically and mechanically between a RC trail truck like this Axial SCX 10.3 or a RC rock buggy like this Force RC Hammerjaw. So without further ado, let's jump right into the comparison. So the first thing I feel like I should disclose right up front is this all depends on how you drive them. But generally, an RC trail truck is used, as it sounds, on the trails and for mild rock crawling, and it's more designed to look good and look realistic. Now compare that to a rock buggy. This doesn't look really realistic unless you compare it to like rock bouncers in the full-size world. This is designed for crawling the extreme, and so the physical and mechanical differences make sense between these two, but I'm going to go over them anyway, starting with the physical differences. One more thing I should point out is that when I refer to trail truck versus rock buggy, I'm referring to the style of truck they are. This is a rock buggy style. If you look up rock buggy on Google, you're going to see trucks that look like this. If you look up trail truck, you're going to see stuff that looks like this. There are a ton of different things. These all kind of fit into the rock crawler category, and there's hundreds of different ways they can look. But I'm looking at the rock buggy style versus the trail truck style. Starting from the outside, you can already see quite a few differences. First of all, the rock buggy has exposed wheels and wide axles and big tires. And the tire size is irrelevant really, but it's still exposed wheels. And also you see it's much thinner. It's got this tube cage style body, which is an inherent feature of rock buggy style crawlers. Now if we look at the trail truck, it looks like something you'd see on the road. This is a licensed Jeep Wrangler body by Axial. It's got a licensed bumper. You'd see something that looks like this on the road, and that's what trail trucks are designed to be. They're designed to look like real-life vehicles that you would take trailing. So if we look around at the sides here, you can see once again the trail truck looking very realistic. It's got a scale interior in there. Now the rock buggy also has an interior, but it's not really as detailed and or scale. But as we're looking around, you can see it's much more crazy suspension design, and just overall is built to the extreme, just like real rock buggies. So now let's take the bodies off and look at the mechanical differences. Now with the bodies off, it looks very similar to what we saw on the outside, with the rock buggy being all about function. It's got a very small battery tray designed for a crawler style battery. It's got crazy big spur gear. It's just all pinched in these frame rails, and that is it. All this extra space, that adds weight. You don't want it. And you see all the wires are bunched up, and it's just, I mean, it looks clean, but compared to the trail truck, it's a bit messy. Now looking at the trail truck, it's scale even under the hood. It's got a scale engine underneath that is hiding the electric motor, and then the scale engine is mounted to a scale transmission, which I've painted silver, and it connects to a scale transfer case, which goes to the offset front and the centered rear, just like a real truck. Now this is very, very scale. Even more scale details exist right here. It has inner fender wells to hide any air getting up underneath the body, and it just looks all sealed up and perfect. This is just like a real car. Another thing you will notice about the trail truck is it has licensed tires. Now these are the stock tires, these aren't, but I'm still saying these tires are licensed, and these are replicas of the Nitto Trail Grappler, which is a very commonly used tire in trailing in the full-size world. Now another thing you'll see with the trail truck is, and this isn't true for all, but for this particular one it has things like a 2-speed transmission, which you don't need a 2-speed transmission in a performance rock crawler. That's just unnecessary, and it adds weight. So this has some extra transmission features that are just kind of fun to use. Now, let's look at the backs of these two trucks, because it gets interesting in the back. Looking at the back of these two trucks, the rock buggy has 4-wheel steering. Now, this is, again, not true for all rock buggies, but it is something you might see on a rock buggy. You have a rear servo or rear steering assembly, and it also has the offset rear pumpkin, just like real rock buggies, which is pretty cool. Now, in the back, you will see we have a solid axle. Now, some people complain that the Axial SCX-103 isn't as scaled as it should be because a real Jeep Wrangler does not have these, which are portal axles. However, there are a lot of kits that you can get for a Jeep Wrangler that gives it portal axles, and those are very common, once again, in the full-size trail truck world. If you look up here, the bumpers, this is a licensed CRC bumper, which is just like the real thing. Same in the front of the trail truck. If I flip it around here, this isn't the stock bumper, but it's made by RC 4-wheel drive. This is a licensed OEM front bumper. I'm sure many of you that have seen an SCX-103 before were like, hey, that's not the stock bumper. But this bumper is exactly the same as what the real Jeep Wrangler comes from out of the factory with this bumper, and it looks very, very nice. Another common difference you will see between rock buggies and trail trucks is rock buggies will have axle mounted servos. Not always, but it's much more common. Now, I already have a video detailing the difference between an axle mounted servo and a chassis mounted servo. Now, a chassis mounted servo looks much more scale. See, there's no servo there. The servo is hidden right here, and then it's got a little arm that comes down, but it looks much more scale through here. And that's much more common with trail trucks. In fact, almost all trail trucks nowadays have chassis mounted servos for that very reason. So now that you've seen them in depth, I hope that you can kind of understand now the difference between rock buggies and trail trucks. Now again, there are hundreds of different configurations that you can find these in, but some of the things I've pointed out are common trends that well, minus the four-wheel steer, but other than that, there are some common trends you will see between the two trucks. This is designed to perform, and the looks aren't as important. This is designed to look great, and even with its good looks, this still performs quite well, but not nearly to the level as this. So there is a difference between the two in that regard. Anyway guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment in the section below for what videos you'd like to see next. But that's all for today, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.